Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Lapsdown Podcast. I heard that last week we were the number one podcast about motorsport hosted by people named MJ and Andrea, and then, the public overwhelmingly agreed. And so they actually just, went ahead and were like, you guys are just the number one motorsport podcast. Upgrade,
Wow.
Promotion. So
What
we
an
don't even
honor.
have to worry about all those, disclaimers. We're actually just the number one motorsport podcast now. Merry Christmas to us.
As voted by the public.
Yeah, you guys made your voices heard in some way or form, and the podcasting gods decided it's all us. We win. Speaking of Christmas, we have Christmas sweaters on. Me and MJ were joking that it's kind of like a company Christmas party, except for the company is just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys are listening, maybe put on a Christmas sweater. You can join the party. What are you excited about for Christmas, MJ? Did you put anything on your list to Santa that you hope you get?
2 days off. That's all I asked for.
Period. And did it come through?
It did.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell people Santa is real, but for some reason they don't believe me. So we do have some spicy news to cover. We have some F1 stuff. We have one little IndyCar, a little IndyCar story, and then we have some NASCAR stuff. Now, I will say the public not only made their voice heard saying that we're the number one motorsports podcast, but we've had the public in our ears saying that they want to learn about NASCAR, and I want to get into NASCAR. I love F1. I wish I could get into NASCAR. Guess what? We're going to learn today, y'all. We're going to learn some stuff so that you'll be ready to go when the NASCAR season starts. Courtesy of our Bill Nye the Science Guy-esque research done by MJ. She's really been cranking it out. So I was thinking we could start with F1. I just think that's fun.
I love that. I think that makes the most sense.
Okay, so I'll start off with some fun news. So Carlos Sainz posted a vlog, vlogging queen. He's literally vlogger. He's like the Emma Chamberlain of the F1 grid. He's out here vlogging.
Mm-hmm.
He posted in his vlog that when they were taking the final Ferrari picture in Abu Dhabi, Brad Pitt had come in and photobombed, as he did with all of the team pictures for, might I add, no reason. I still was like, why is he here? And how did he get on the track? And how is he photobombing all these? But apparently he felt bad because he realized after the fact, oh, that was Carlos's big, final picture with Ferrari. I probably could have not been an asshole and made it about myself and photobombed. So he allegedly, according to Carlos, hand wrote him an "I'm sorry" note and then had it delivered to him in the paddock, which is
That's so weird.
Yeah, I'm concerned.
That's very middle school counselor being like, okay, girls, I see that you're fighting. I want you to handwrite a letter and then hand deliver it to each other. I kind of love it. I'm kind of obsessed.
I was just about to say, is there something going on where, Brad Pitt is, mentally stunted into being, a 14-year-old girl, and he thinks, the best way to, apologize for things is a handwritten note. I can't tell you how many notes I wrote when I was in middle school. And I was like, I'm going to show them. And I would write, a little note. Or, if I had a crush, I'd be like, I'm going to write a note telling them how much I'm obsessed with them, which probably didn't go over very well, I can assume.
That's kind of cute, though.
Yeah, maybe that's what Brad Pitt was doing for Carlos.
It was a love letter. It wasn't an apology. Yeah.
Yeah. But then Carlos was and the funniest part is that, I didn't give a fuck. He was it really wasn't that deep. I was just oh, that's cool, that's Brad Pitt. And then, I moved on with my life. But he apparently feels really bad about it. There also was the F1 Secret Santa. And I want your take on this. For, the bajillionth year in a row, people that have won world championships refuse to be part of the Secret Santa. So there was no Fernando, no Lewis, no Max. And I'm starting to think, is there something in the prize of winning the world championship where you don't have to do the Secret Santa anymore? Is it a secret part of winning a world championship is that you get a pass on some random F1 duties?
Yeah, they're how can we motivate these drivers to actually want to win world championships?
Yeah.
And they're you don't have to do the Secret Santa. You
And
still have
maybe
to do Grill the Grid, though.
But I think it's once you win a certain amount, you don't have to do Grill the Grid anymore. Because Lewis doesn't ever do that. So, like,
does Fernando?
Yeah, but he only has 2. So maybe there's like 3, 4 it's probably 4 world championships. You don't have to do it anymore. And so then Max is good. He doesn't have to do it anymore.
I'm happy for him.
But a lot of people are like kind of pissed about this. And I kind of agree. Like, I think it is one of the things that like we should force all of the drivers to do. Like, there's no pass. Like, everybody's doing the Secret Santa. Like, who do you think you are?
I think actually they should make none of the drivers do it. Because every year they hate it. Like, I didn't watch this year's. But I've never seen a year where, like, more than one person, more than, like, Alex Albon is excited about anything. But it just seems like a hassle for them, frankly.
I think that every year there are some gifts that I think are cop-outs. Any sort of sports jersey is a cop-out. Any sort of... this year there was a lot of paddle lessons. Come on. Be serious. But... there is one person who I've always had a soft spot for when it comes to these Secret Santas, and that's Lance Stroll, who secretly is such a thoughtful gift giver.
He's not picking these gifts. None of these guys, unless they're really dumb, you know how like Charles last year gave Joe the Botas calendar? Like that for sure was handpicked by Charles. None of these men are handpicking gifts to give. They have so much money.
But what if Lance is like secretly thoughtful?
He's not thoughtful about anyone on the grid if he's secretly thoughtful.
Yeah. I just like to think that like he has a redeeming factor. You know what? Let's move on. You know what? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to Lance Stroll. I'm not going to harp on this anymore because MJ just thinks you don't give a shit about anyone. And she's probably right.
I don't think he does for Secret Santa. I don't think any of them. Except for like the really weird gifts. Like wasn't there one that was like a custom made like club sleeve that was like somebody's face or something?
This year there was a panda golf sleeve for Alex Albon. But there was like one year, for example, where like Lance got Pierre like an entire custom paddle kit. Like he like had like a custom paddle made with like his name and his number and like a custom case and everything like that. And then this year he got Pierre again, and so he gave him like a little paddle jersey with like his name and stuff on it. And he was like, it's because like at the time Pierre wasn't into paddle and he wanted to get into it, so he like got him this custom paddle kit. And then now he was like, to go with it, I'll get you the jersey. Like, part of me thinks like if you're rich, isn't that the fun of being rich, is that you can give good gifts? I don't know.
Isn't the fun of being rich the fact that you don't have to give gifts anymore and you can make someone else do it?
Yeah, that is true. They got like some personal assistants that just go shopping. Some of the gifts, I feel like there's like either they're so dumb or there's like some sort of hobby or something that the person has that we're not aware of. Like for some reason, Carlos Sainz got Franco a thing of like modeling clay and then like a puzzle. And I was like, is there, like, please tell me that Franco has, like, an affinity for making sculptures. Because if not, this gift is so dumb. It's almost insulting. It's like, here, kid, play with some fucking clay. Yeah.
It's literally like, what do preschoolers play with? Puzzles? Clay? Should I get him some Play-Doh? Maybe some Legos?
The worst part is that Franco proceeds to take the clay out of the package and make a little car out of it. And I was like, see, you're proving him right. You are acting like a little baby right now. And so, like, maybe Carlos was on to something. But, yeah, okay, that's enough lighthearted stuff. Let's get to the hard-hitting shit of F1, which is somebody got fired. We already knew Checo was going to get fired, so, like, let's feign surprise. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Oh, shocked.
Oh, no, I had no idea that was going to happen. But basically, yeah, Checo got fired. It was actually just kind of sad. Like, there was, like, it was just depressing and sad because it's like, okay, well, like, that's basically, like, he's done in F1. Like, everybody's like, maybe he'll come back to Cadillac. And I'm like, I doubt it. Like, there's so much, like, recency bias in F1 that it's, like, the latest memory people have of him is not being good.
It's unlikely. I will say, I did watch the social media to see how they handled it, and they waited a full 24 hours before announcing his replacement.
They very convenient. It was, like, so obvious that it was, like, okay, we'll announce that Checo got fired. Wait 24 hours. Wait that Liam is hired. Wait 24 hours. Announce that Isaac Hadjar is hired for VCARB. It was like, okay, whatever.
That's actually a social media strategy. Shout out to Redbull. I love to see it.
Well, actually, I don't know about a social media strategy, because I guess part of the drama is that they didn't know whether Checo or Red Bull was going to announce first, and then Checo announced on his social media, and then it was taken down.
Well, it was taken down because he said tanks instead of thanks. It was the giant glaring spelling error because he said, "Thank you, Red Bull." And I was like, "Aw, thank you, Red Bull."
Everybody say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wait, I thought it was, like, some more drama than that. I thought maybe it was that, like, Red Bull was like, take that down. We're announcing first.
I mean, maybe, but he had already announced it, and there was... So I do have to assume it was partially the thank you.
I think that's cute. He should have
left it. Thank you, Red Bull. I love him.
Red Bull. So there was that, and then Liam was announced. Unfortunately for Liam, I think that this has made him one of the most unliked drivers on the grid. For what I would like to assume is no fault of his own. Like, I mean, he was offered a job, a fairly favorable job, and probably a good amount of money with that contract, and he said yes to it. And then everybody was like, what if we kill him? Because we would rather it be Yuki. And I feel bad because he is, like, friends with Yuki, and so I don't think it was, like, the way...
I don't think either of them thought any decision in it.
You guys want him to, like, out of the goodness of his own heart, be like, actually, guys, thank you so much for this Red Bull offer, but I think it should probably go to somebody else. Have you guys considered Yuki? And they'd be like, right, so now you guys are both fired, and congratulations, Isaac Hadjar, you're the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, all
like,
of a sudden,
I don't know
Daniel's
what they
back.
want from him.
I don't know. No one can ever be happy. I do feel like he was set up to fail with the way that they announced him after they let go of Daniel. They're like, who are the most beloved drivers on the grid? Can we replace him with this silly little blonde Gen Zer who only talks about cars? And let's just, like, see how it goes over. Not only let's do it once, let's do it twice. Same season.
Yeah.
He'll be fine, though.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about him.
In general, or just about this specific thing?
Oh, I think he's probably going to have a very bad season, but I think his feelings will be fine. I don't think he's like, crying to sleep over it.
In general, I am worried about him, actually, because this isn't like it's like, it's so weird because drivers, like, can't go into it not being hopeful. So he's doing, like, all this press and stuff about being a Red Bull driver, and everybody's asking the question of, like, are you at all scared by the fact that everybody before you has failed? And he's like, no, I think I'm the one. I think I'm the one. And I appreciate the delusion. I don't know how else you could answer that question, because you can't answer with, no, I'll give it about 6 months.
He's like, I'm just going to do my best, but I have a backup plan. Don't worry.
Yeah. I do hope, though, that, like, if he does get fired, I hope it's, like, he just gets demoted to VCARB rather than, like, fired. Because he is, like, young enough in his career. Like, I would hope that they would do what they did with, like, Pierre, where it's, like, Pierre had some time for recovery. Pierre was, like, crushed. Every ounce of confidence he had was destroyed. He was a shell of a man. And then they demoted him, and he was, like, doing amazing at whatever the fuck, AlphaTauri, whatever the team was called at that time. I hope they would do that if they're going to ruin his life. They could, like, let him down easy.
No, I'm the opposite. I think you should get rid of him. Blacklist him from F1. Because, like, Red Bull, if you're gonna do this bullshit, like, this unnecessary, just, like, be absolutely demonic to all of your drivers, like, just do it. Just, like, full-on send them out. I also am curious, like, how many more Red Bull drivers do we have in the wing? Like, let's see how many we could get through in a season. Is there a Dale Coyne rule in F1? Do we know? Or you can only have so many drivers in a seat per season? Probably not.
No, yeah. I don't think they care.
So why are we tapping out at just a couple Red Bull drivers a season when we could have 24, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's that they've just never thought to make a rule because nobody has ever been dumb enough to do this.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Enter Red Bull 2025.
Speaking of how many drivers do they have left, so Yuki is still at VCarb. I think they're just called RB now, by the way. So I'll try to start saying that. But I was just starting to get into the VCarb thing, but whatever. He's still at Racing Bulls. However, now Christian Horner is like doing press being like, if there's no chance of him being promoted, why would we keep him around at Racing Bulls? And I'm like, because you might have some sense of self-preservation and not want to set your entire organization on fire. That's a good reason I can think of. But let me see what you got, buddy.
You've already kept him around for multiple years knowing that he had no chance of being promoted to Red Bull. What changed now?
Well, now I think that they are realizing that they are just training him for a competitor's team. Which
they literally
you've been doing that this
whole fucking time. They're just like, yeah, but now we can point the finger at Honda and be like, well, Honda's leaving, which means now that's what we're going to say is the reason why Yuki isn't being promoted. It's like, hey guys, you've had your chance. Like, there were many times that you should have promoted him over whatever.
Whatever, Christian Horner. Yeah, it's fucking typical Christian Horner. So
he has to get rid of him.
Hate him. We have Yuki. And then we now have Isaac Hadjar, which I feel like I'm super happy we have another rookie on the grid. I'm kind of in this state of mind now where I'm like, fuck it. Like, I think we're going to have chaos next year unlike any other because we just have too many damn rookies on this grid, but I love it. I will say, though, I have literally no idea who they have in their development program that is even old enough to be a reserve driver. Even, like, I don't even know. Like, I kind of think that they said something of, like, Checo's going to stay around in the organization. So I'm like, is he going to be in the wings? Because if they fire Liam or Yuki and then, like, move up Isaac, there's nobody else to move up either that I can think of. Like, I'm assuming I think there's another Red Bull F2 driver.
Yeah, and there's an F3 one. And you know who's in F1
Chloe
Academy?
Chloe Chamber. Like, I'm starting to think, like, this is basically, like, the only, like, I know we were writing fanfic, but at this point, it's like, I don't know who else they got. I don't know. I'm sure some people that are highly more invested in the Red Bull program in general will have an idea, but I'm guessing just whoever the other F2 driver they had will, like, be an F2 still, but then probably be, like, their reserve driver. Maybe they'll pull from ex-drivers if they needed to, like a Checo, or I don't know. I think they might be I think that Liam might be lucky in the way of I don't think they'll fire him mid-season because I don't know what else the fuck they would do.
Yeah. I mean, it's job security is job security. Shout out to Liam.
But Isaac Hadjar, I do think it is really cool that he's moved up. I watched him towards the end of the F2 season. He's a little hot-headed.
That's the only thing I've heard about him, is people calling him and Yuki hot-headed. I was like, guys, we gotta get a different bit. I don't know any of his stats. Not a single person has said anything about his, like, F2 journey.
Yeah, he was, I think, second finishing the F2 championship. I kind of felt like it was, like, there was this championship battle, but, like, everybody was pretty sure, like, Gabriel Bortoleto was going to win it, but, like, Isaac Hadjar was putting up a fight towards the end. I do think that they kind of disadvantaged him towards the end of his F2 championship battle because they had him doing FP1s, and from what I've heard from the drivers who do stints on F1 TV, it's really, really hard to do an FP1 and then go and race an F2 because the car, like, and I kind of get it. It's kind of like when you get a rental car and you're like, where the fuck are all the buttons? And, like, the brakes are, like, a little bit different or, like, something. I guess, like, just, like, the swinging back and forth between the two cars can be enough to just throw you off your game a little bit, and that it probably wouldn't have been a good idea to have him do that FP1 if they truly thought he should put up a fight for F2 championship. So that's why I also was like, Gabriel Bortoleto was probably going to win. But he's not bad. The guy's not bad. And according to Christian Horner, he's faster than Yuki in testing, which I'm like, again, what do we get by saying this? Like, the testing is testing under your like, you're controlling the variables. So, like, yeah, you can make him faster in testing if you want him to be faster in testing. I don't believe that he just has all of this pace compared to Yuki. I'm sure there's another explanation for it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just drinking, like, the Yuki Kool-Aid, but I just am, like, not convinced that this IJ Kajar guy is just so much faster than Yuki. It's like, okay, if that was the case, then you would have moved him up way before this.
Yeah, it's not like we have an issue with a drop in drivers if he was so much faster. I don't know. I think Christian just talks to hear himself talk, which is kind of what we do, but, like, we're less assholes about it.
Yeah, like, and also, nobody's listening to us, so, like, it's like, what's the harm in us talking?
So true.
You know what I mean? But I genuinely am like, you're actually talking about your own employees, like being, like, in the press, being like, why should we keep this dude around? I just, like, I always think about this with F1 teams of, like, what is the PR strategy here? Like, you're just trashing your own driver who's still driving for you next year. If you want to trash him after you fire him, then whatever, I guess. But now you're just making yourself look stupid because you're talking about how slow he is and how much Yuki sucks. And it's like, well, you're keeping him around. Also, Valtteri Bottas is a reserve driver for Mercedes. And I think that this is actually low-key one of the smartest moves he could have done, period. Because, like I said, bunch of rookies coming in. Rookies that are potentially dangerous to the budget cap. Ones that maybe are a little crash happy. And I think that Kimi Antonelli will be great. But there is also no evidence to back that up. Because, like, he's only had one shot in an F1 car and it didn't go quite the plan. And also, I don't really give a shit what people have done in, like, karting and all this stuff like that. Plenty of people have been good in karting, F2 and all this, and then they came to F1 and it didn't matter. So, say they need to get rid of this rookie mid-season. Thank goodness they have a reserve driver who is tested, knows the Mercedes garage very well, knows the organization very well, could very easily just hop in a car and maybe score a few points. Not a bad gig. Also, apparently George's contract is up at the end of 2025? Potentially 2026, maybe? I'm hearing... I'm not going to fact check that. I don't really care, but enough to do that. But if George were, say, to want to go elsewhere, it wouldn't be a bad place to be to fill that seat.
What about... Hey, guys, what about Fred? What about my man Frederick Vesti? They trap him, they shove him into that sim room. They trap him in there for days at a time. It's like a fucking Mr. Beast video. They're like, okay, keep going. 24 hours.
They slide some food under the door.
They make him do challenges every hour. They're like, how many push-ups can you do? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they, like,
Mr.
get back
Beast
on.
I just am picturing, like, Mr. Beast being like, how long can this man sit in this room for 24 hours without any human contact before going crazy? And it's just him in there.
And that happened 2 years ago. They started that 2 years ago, and he's just been in there ever since. And then they're like, hey, actually, we're going to let Valtteri in, and we're going to open the windows, and we're going to, like, put the air conditioning on. And so now Valtteri has this nice little sim room that
Yeah.
Fred has been working on so hard. I was so sure that Fred Vesti was going to take Logan's seat. Like, I thought he wasn't going to get signed for a second year, and that Fred Vesti was going to come in and take his seat. Little did I know, I don't have to be worried about my man Vesti getting a seat anywhere, apparently.
Yeah. Or, well, also, maybe they're just using Valtteri for his TikTok clout.
They didn't actually sign Valtteri. They signed Valtteri's mullet.
Yeah.
They're like, this is actually going to look really good in our garage.
Yeah, I think that they were, like, kind of... Maybe George, now that he's the number one driver, he's like, I'm not doing any more TikToks. I've been doing TikToks for years because Lewis never wants to do this shit. And so I've been doing all these goofy little fucking things, and I'm tired of doing them. And they were like, God damn it, what are we going to do? And then somebody was like, I heard Valtteri Bottas is free. Right. So, I don't know. That's my analysis, everybody. They're just using him for TikTok clout. And then MJ's analysis is that Mercedes is imprisoning people and forcing them to work on the sim for no potential seat. And
yeah, I'm doubling down.
Yeah, that's the end of our F1 news, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'm so glad everybody comes to us for insightful takes. We have only one little piece of IndyCar news, but it is an important one, which is Conor Daly got a seat, guys.
Hell yeah. Happy for him.
I think he's, like, stoked. I think he's, like, so hyped. But I also feel like just a little confused because this does seem to be something that has been in the works for a while, because I told you that one time on his podcast he made it sound basically like a done deal that he was going to be teammates with Stingray Rob, making it seem like he was in the know of having a seat at that team before Stingray was. Like, he sounded like he was surprised Stingray got signed, but then was like, yeah, he'll be a good teammate. So why do you think it took them so long to announce?
That's a great question. Maybe, well, I know we had, like, last week we kind of talked about, like, possible other theories why that second seat hadn't gone anywhere. But maybe it's just because they didn't hire social media people until, like, last week, and they were like, we want to wait until we can get a social media team, and then we're going to put Conor Daly on it.
Yeah.
And announce his contract. I don't know. I feel like it was a pretty done deal for a while. I think they were just, maybe they were waiting to see if Grosjean could put up any money.
They were like, listen, buddy, you're going to want to find some Pray.com money stat.
Literally.
I don't know. I just thought maybe you had a crazy theory. I thought maybe you'd been bouncing something around up there. Something crazy.
Not besides the Franco taking the seat half the time that I put out last week, but
there did seem to be quite a bit of criticism on Reddit, the most trusted site for all things IndyCar, that I don't fact check. I just take at face value.
Sure.
There were some people upset saying, like, you know, he is pretty good at ovals, but is it worth it considering he's, like, not great at all at street circuits and stuff? And I was like, but, like, there's other people who get a pass for being the other way around. There's some people who are great at street circuits and then asked to come the remix at ovals, and, like, that's just part of being an IndyCar racer, I guess. Like, there's some people that are great at both, and those people have bajillion-dollar contracts at, like, the top teams. So, like, that's how that works. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good at ovals.
Yeah.
Like, and that man can oval. Guys, he's so young. He's got time to figure out how to do the road and street courses. Guys, please don't make fun of my new Juncos Hollinger emotional support driver.
Yeah, he's, like, doing his best, guys. And, like, if he had no... If he was perfect... If he was perfect, we wouldn't like him as much. You know what I mean?
So
we take him for all of his flaws. And one of them is that maybe he's not good at street circuits, but he only's got to get lucky once. And
that's true.
Maybe he'll win one.
He's also incredibly marketable. That man has he truly has a dazzling personality. Like, his podcast, the blooper reel video that Juncos Hollinger posted, I was like, he's made for the stage. I think that's also a huge, because I'm not sure he's bringing a whole ton of sponsorship money. I think he's a personality hire. He's also, like, talented, but I do think, truthfully, I think they're like, this is how we're going to market our team.
He's one of the few people I think that could challenge us for #1 motorsports podcast in the world. I think that he is just a charmer, and I love tuning in every week to Speed Street. So, love you, Conor Daly. Congrats on being employed. I hope you buy yourself something nice. And we will see you this season. So that means we just have 2 seats left. Dale Coyne. And we'll never know who those people are. So let's move on with life. Who knows? You ready to... You guys ready to learn? Learn. Let's get to NASCAR. Let's talk about the 2025 practice and qualifying setup. There is some riveting changes happening that we cannot wait to tell you about.
It's so good. This was one of the stories that we were going to do last week, and I was like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what happened, why it's a big deal. People are happy. It's making me nervous. I don't know. I didn't want to touch it.
Yeah, sometimes we want to bring you guys stories, and then me and MJ, we just go, yeah, but it's hard. You know, it's really challenging, and it's really hard. I'm going to need to sleep on it for at least a week before I can present this knowledge to people in a concise and digestible way.
There aren't many times where we make the decision to not talk on something because we don't know enough about it, but this was one of those times.
Yeah, we think about all the things that we talk about all the time that we know nothing about, but we still feel so confidently about it. These ones are so challenging, but yet so riveting, that we ensure we get you the correct information before you present it.
It's not that riveting.
I think it is.
So, the 2025 practice and quali... Okay, first, I have to start by saying this. I made a TikTok video where I was like, these are some things I learned in NASCAR. And truth be told, some of the things I said were wrong, sure. But one of the things that I had, like, offhandedly said, quali. I, like, offhandedly said, like, they're allowed to do this during quali or something.
And guess what you'll never do again? That.
No, I'm doubling down. The amount of people who go, we don't call it quali, or what's quali? I was like, first of all, use the goddamn context clues. You know what I'm talking about. And also, quali is so much easier to say than qualifying. So, it's quali.
I was reading an F1 book because I hate myself. It's for a video, guys. Don't roast me. And they say the qualifier. And I was like, now that's where I draw a line.
Qualifier. Yeah.
That's like heinous.
If I had said that and people were like, yo, like literally nobody says that, I would have been like, that's so true. Thank you for calling me out on my bullshit. But the fact that it wasn't even a major point and people still decided to correct me, now I'm doubling down. This is a hill that I plan on dying on. I've picked out my spot and I'm ready to go.
She put a blanket down, got a little picnic basket out, and that's the hill she's dying on.
This is it. Leave me here. But anyways, practice and quali for 2025 came out, and people were really excited about it. So I looked back to figure out what the fuck quali was this year, because I don't know if you're the same way. I did not watch practice or quali for NASCAR, except for maybe once, and I think I only watched half of it.
Yeah, no, you don't gotta worry about it here. I don't watch that shit.
Yeah, I didn't either. I also just don't know where to find it. But,
Furthermore,
I guess, so in 2020, they had 3 50-minute practices. They moved down to 2 50-minute practices, okay? Then COVID hit, and they're like, actually, practice and quali, it's not really going to happen.
See, they don't care about it either. So, like, why do we have to?
They said, why is it necessary? Practice makes perfect? No.
I thought you guys were professionals. I thought you guys could just get out there and drive the car without some fucking practice. Excuse me. Sorry.
They said, figure it out. Get on the sim, figure it out. In 2023 / this was the same way it was in 2024, they brought back practice, but it was only 20-minute, like a practice session. So, like, Group A would go, Group B would go, they'd only get 20 minutes, and then they would do quali right after that. And their justification for this, and it all made sense to me. I was like, no, you guys are so right for all of this. It was that NASCAR does the tech inspections prior to practice, and apparently this takes so long. And so I looked up how long it takes takes, and it was like 3 hours. And I was like, whoa, that's so long. I'm so glad you guys do this before.
I guess.
I mean, 3 hours isn't that long. Or maybe it's 3 hours per car. I guess that would make... No, that doesn't...
There is no way it's 3 hours per car. I mean, I could just fucking look at it for at least 20 minutes and get a good lay of the land. And they also have lasers and shit. We've already talked about it. They have lasers.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they should work on that instead of if it's taking that long. Anywhoosie, this not super important. But then also the short sessions, they limit the changes allowed to the car, so NASCAR doesn't need to inspect again after qualifying because they frankly just don't have that much time to change the car. And then also limiting changes allows teams to bring less personnel each weekend, which was a positive for them. And then also 2-hour quali/practice is, quote, great for TV, which is crazy to me because I frankly am not sure where to watch it on TV.
Yeah, I don't think you guys honestly don't have to make any changes on the behalf of TV viewers because I don't know if there is any. Watch, I say that and like we're gonna like literally get flamed. Yeah. Everybody's gonna be like, this is a hill I will die on. I love watching practice.
Practicing quali. Then, like, I thought it was kind of interesting, but, so, like, Ty Gibbs, who was a rookie in 2023, he was like, it kind of sucks that we have these short practice sessions because I'm, like, new to driving all these tracks or whatever in a cup car. Like, I wish I had more time. It kind of puts me at a disadvantage, which makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. And then you have Tyler Reddick, who is like, 20 minutes, that's totally fine. He's like, we can make all of our changes in 20 minutes. Like, I'm not worried about it. I don't need more time. 20 minutes is perfect. And then you had Michael McDowell, who I just, like, got a scale of people who's at the opposite end of the spectrum, who is like, I don't want practice at all. He's like, the teams with more money and more resources are able to maximize this time and, like, make changes necessary to the car. And he's like, we don't got that. And wait, so it feels unfair.
Like, he's like, you guys are getting a little too good.
He's like, you guys are, yeah, literally. Which I think is fair, too. Like, I'm looking at all these perspectives, and I'm like, no, you guys are all totally right. I hope you get it figured out. So that's how practice was in 2024. Qualifying in 2024. So, okay.
It's different for all the different track types.
Yes, but there was a specific issue that people had that I'm going, don't worry, we'll get to it. No, we'll get to it. It's the part that I labeled, this is the part people have an issue with.
Okay. By the way, guys, I'm just looking at the notes. I'm not ignoring the fuck out of MJ while she's talking, by the way.
So the entrants are split into 2 groups for quali, and then the top 5 of each group will head to, like, the pole round, which is just a shootout. The cars that do not advance from Group A will determine the outside row for starting positions 11 to 40, while the remaining cars from Group B will determine the inside row. That's what people had an issue with. They also they had an issue with, like, the Group A, Group B situation, because those who went in Group A had more time to, like, cool the car down before they did the shootout. That was an issue. And then also the, like, third fastest car, if it was in Group A or Group B, it could start, like, in 6th position on the grid, just because they do this stupid, like, inside-outside situation. So that's what people had a lot of issues with. I also wrote down how the groups were decided, but it's, like, a lot of math.
Yeah, no, that sounds, it's
a lot. I mean, I can read it out, but I
don't think we want that.
You don't want me to just read it out and then, like, you choose your own battle. If you want to figure out what any of this means, you can. I'm sure as hell not going to.
There comes a point, guys, where you just have to leave it up to whoever be calculating this shit. I think actually this is an important lesson for people getting into NASCAR. Just leave it to the TV math people. Like, when we do playoffs and they're like, this is how the cutoffs work, I'm not out here arguing with it. I'm just like, fair enough.
So real. All right, we'll just leave it up to it's none of our business. Frankly, if they wanted us to know, they would have made it easier.
Yeah, so this is actually on y'all. Okay, so what are we moving towards that people like the changes that were made?
That's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking. So in 2025, the first important change is there is now going to be a 50-minute practice on the Wednesday of the Daytona Valentine's Day weekend where, so 50-minute practice and then qualifying to follow like a few hours later. There previously, last year, was not a practice. They were just like, you're going to get out there and qualify. And there was like one driver, I wish I could remember his name, but I cannot, who was a rookie and was going to do the Daytona 500. And before quali, he was sitting in the parking lot trying to figure out how to do like the gear shift because he had never driven a cup car before. And I was like, if only there was a little session we could hold that would help him figure this out.
Yeah. I feel like no practice is just like a dick move. It's like, as much as I like relate to like the like end of the spectrum where it's like, oh, everybody like perfects their car, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, I kind of want that. Like, I don't know. I think it like is fun when everybody has their best car and they're racing and like they got all their shit figured out during practice and they can put in a sick qualifying lap. I also like it when rookies are aware of what they're doing and are able to drive safely.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe I'm no fun, but
kind of
I'm cool.
Take.
I'm cool with a 50-minute practice session. We sit through 3 of them in F1 and like what, 2 in IndyCar?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's okay to have 1 practice session.
I think so too. So everyone's stoked about that. Shout out. And then the practice quali setup. So as you kind of mentioned earlier, there's 4 different types of tracks. And I know what you're thinking. Aren't there just ovals and not ovals? It's actually much more complicated than that.
Yeah. This is a very sophisticated sport, and it's
so
a little more than that.
It so is. So for intermediate or standard ovals, which is between 1 and 2 miles, I wrote all this out just in case people didn't know. They will have 2 25-minute practice sessions where they will do Group A, Group B, which is 5 minutes longer than the 20 minutes that they had in 2024. And then for qualifying, they will do single lap, single round qualifying. And they got rid of the inside-outside bullshit.
Period.
So it's just fastest goes closer to the front, slowest goes closer to the back.
So is that kind of like what IndyCar does then on their oval qualifyings, where like you're going out and you have like, you're putting in the top speed in 1 lap that you can?
Well, you have 2 laps on single weekends.
Yeah.
On single race weekends. But it's very similar. Short tracks, which is going to be less than 1 mile, so like Iowa, they will have 2 25-minute practice sessions at Group A, Group B, and then for qualifying, they will have 2 laps, 1 round qualifying, so they don't have a little shootout. And then super speedways, which are the long tracks, more than 2 miles, there's no practice. None. And I put in parentheses, good luck, losers, because there is no practice.
I don't understand this. Like, do they not
I don't know.
You guys don't have time for it? It's like, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
time?
I assume it's because they, like, it's not necessary, maybe from the information they get from, like, the sim. And so they're like, figure it out, losers? I don't know. This is a great question for somebody else. So qualifying is 1 lap. They get 2 rounds. The top 10 will progress to the second round shootout. And then road courses, those are the ones that aren't round. That is going to be 2 25-minute practice sessions in groups, obviously, and then 25-minute quali per group, all cars out on track at once. It's not like a 1 lap situation.
So for the road courses, they're going to go out and qualify all of the cars on track, and then it's just whoever puts in the fastest lap time in that 20 minutes is on pole. There's no...
I think so. Yeah.
Narrowing it down.
I think so. That's what I wrote down.
Hey.
If it's not like that,
we'll
by
figure it out
NASCAR's
when
rules,
we get there.
It's that by MJ's rules.
Lapsdown has officially decided.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the people that are maybe new to NASCAR, this means I don't think you need to know this to enjoy NASCAR. I think that me and MJ have made it this far without knowing this, and we are just fine. But it sounds like it is better for the drivers. A lot of the fans seemed happy with the qualifying changes, and I think it's just at the end of the day, the people that do watch qualifying and stuff, you just want to walk away from it feeling like the starting grid is representative of who went fastest and who is like ready to go for race day. And it's crazy that such a simple idea has maybe taken us a good while to get to that point, but it sounds like they're on the right track.
On the right track. Look at you.
Alrighty, so that's all for today. I'm just kidding.
And that's actually the end of the Lapsdown podcast. Crazy way to end it.
So we also have had some legal drama that we have covered on a previous episode. We talked a little bit about the 2311 drama.
Lawsuit.
I just think it's fun to refer to lawsuits as drama. We're a T channel.
It's kind of how Denny Hamlin has been handling it on social media.
Yeah.
He's been handling it as if it were like beauty guru drama.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, I love that man. He's so messy. So, they have been going through the lawsuit process with NASCAR, basically saying that they are a monopoly and that they did not like the charter agreement that was put forward. There was a key little part in it that is, you cannot sue NASCAR for antitrust if you sign this contract, which is, I think we said before, an interesting thing to put in there if you're not a monopoly.
Genius power move. Genius.
But I don't know how much more detail. How much detail do you want to get into this on, MJ?
I don't know enough about it.
Okay.
I don't know enough. So just like the basics, they have a new judge now.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
They have a new judge, and this judge is not fucking around. Okay. First of all, this judge was like, "I'm not doing this forever. Okay, we're gonna be done with this by 2026, and that's it."
Set an end date. I'm like, that's crazy. What a power move. He's like, yeah, after that,
I'm
none of my
tired of hearing
business.
about it. Yeah. And then for 2025, he was like, okay, 2311, you guys can race with charters because it sounds like shit will hit the fan if you don't. AKA, you will lose your drivers and all of your sponsors. And that seems bad. So, allegedly, some of the drivers' contracts were written in a way where they would need to have been in a chartered car. So, technically, they could have gone somewhere else if they wanted to. Not good if you're trying to run a team and your star drivers are going elsewhere. Also, their sponsorships like Monster seemed to be concerned about the lawsuit and the direction it would be going if they weren't going to be chartered cars. And that was enough for the judge to say, okay, by them not signing this agreement to be chartered under NASCAR's current rules, they would be disadvantaged and lose money, blah, 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 blah. But then they also... Oh my god, I'm confusing myself.
Where are you at? What are you confused on?
I'm trying to understand the concept of antitrust. Basically just being like, right now you're saying that they have to play by your rules, NASCAR, and your rules kind of suck, but then if they don't play by your rules, they lose their drivers and their sponsors.
Yeah, they lose a competitive edge.
You have created an environment that is so toxic. And the judge used a lot of language in his write-up that was kind of like, you guys you guys kind of are doing exactly what a monopoly would do. You see how you're doing that? That's what a monopoly would do. Yeah. Which isn't probably a good sign for the direction of things for NASCAR under this new judge. If I was NASCAR, I'd be a little bummed out by this, to be honest. So what does this mean? This means that MJ and Andrea are happy. This means Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, not to be confused with MJ, like the host of the podcast you're currently listening to. They're also very happy. It means that NASCAR is shaking in their boots. It means the legal system is hard. It means most NASCAR fans now are required to complete X amount of law school coursework in order to understand the daily happenings of NASCAR news. It means that we're probably going to have a full year of more headlines that Andrea and MJ don't understand. It means potentially the Full Speed Season 2 could be really good. And it also means that maybe NASCAR is all about the power of friendship.
Wow.
What do you think, MJ? Do you think
that's
that was
really
good?
Beautiful.
Thank you. So, shout out to Tyler Reddick and his Monster Girls. They're safe. Another day. Because Tyler Reddick and Monster were like in the headlines as like gonna leave. Don't shake your head at me. I'm reporting the news.
Yeah, the Monster Girls were a huge headline. They're like NASCAR Team 2311 could lose Monster Girls if they lose their charter.
But what is actually fun about this, though, is Denny Hamlin on social media. And that's honestly all that me and MJ turn to when it comes to, is this good or is this bad? We read a headline and we go, I don't know what this means. And then we go on social media and we see that Denny Hamlin has just tweeted, yay! And we go, okay, must be good.
Hell yeah.
Or if he sees something in an article that he vibes with, he'll just put it on his Instagram story.
Just like a screenshot of half of the article with like a GIF in the bottom corner that says like "so true."
The article will be like NASCAR is a monopoly, and it'll be like so true. That's what I've been trying to say. I don't know. Do you think people learned something from this, MJ?
From the lawsuit talk we just had?
Probably. The episode in general. Do you think people learned?
I hope they learned. I hope they could take away something.
Yeah. I learned.
Learning? What did you did learn?
Yeah. I learned that for some reason in super speedways, they're just like, fuck you, no practice, loser.
Yeah.
I gotta get to the bottom of why that is the strategy, but whatever.
I'm 100% positive someone's gonna tell us.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to find out. I can't wait to learn. It's like a little exchange. Like, we force you to learn something, and then you correct us, so we learn something. Yeah. It's called community. That's compromise.
I love that. I guess that is everything that we had. Well, we do next week, potentially next week, probably next week. Intend to do our Laps Down Awards. Unless something psycho crazy happens and we have like too many news things to talk about, we'll do our Laps Down Awards. That's kind of what happened, is that we wanted to do them maybe this week, but then everybody got fired. Right. So we had to chat about that. But that means that you have another week to vote in the Laps Down Awards. If you haven't already, I will be sure that the link is in the show notes or the YouTube description, whatever. We also have gotten a couple more 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and I'm very grateful for that. And if you haven't already, feel free to do that. We have a little time left with you guys on TikTok as of right now, but you could follow us on TikTok or Instagram or Blue Sky or Threads now. I'm on Threads. I'd be on Threads. Threads. I'm threading. I'm making threads. So you can follow us there at Lapsdown Pod. And I don't know, MJ, what is something Christmas magical about motorsports this year that you want to share? I can go first if you want.
Yeah, give me an idea to figure out what the fuck that means.
I just wanted to say I've been feeling so like Christmas magical and like you know, just thinking about this year just being like, isn't it so Christmas magical that we became friends this year? And we now have a podcast together, and I just think that is so Christmas magical. And I just think that if Santa could wrap it up and put it under a tree, he would put all my motorsports friendships under there. But unfortunately, he can't. That's just too Christmas magical.
That's so Christmas magical.
You just want to take my answer?
I want to say retweet. Yeah, that's really Christmas magical.
Also, I think that under the Christmas tree, maybe there'll be some Kyle Larson Hey Dudes for somebody out there. Yeah. Maybe there'll be some NASCAR Crocs with a rear wing. Maybe somebody out there right now is unwrapping a Chase Elliott Hooters jacket.
Wow. That is so Christmas magical.
That is Christmas magical. I think that there's somebody out there getting all those things. So maybe you're listening to us right now on the way to your Christmas magical experience. I just think that's so precious. Okay, I think we're going to have to wrap up.
All right.
I think we best wrap up the show. I just think that this is such a hit. I think this episode's going to go down in the archives as one of the best. Don't you think, MJ? Alrighty. Goodbye, everyone. Say bye, MJ.
Goodbye.